Alright, gather round everyone, because tonight I am telling you a story that's guaranteed to send a shiver down your spine. This isn't just some campfire tale. This happened to a group of friends, just like you and me, who thought they were brave enough to spend a night in one of India's most haunted places, Tow Hill. They called themselves the Fearless Four: Rohan, Samir, Vikram, and Arjun. They were adrenaline junkies, always looking for their next big adventure. They'd heard the legends about Tow Hill in Kersong, the whispers of a place so cursed that the locals would not even step foot in the woods after sunset. The most chilling tale was that of the Headless Boy, a ghostly figure said to roam the path known as Death Road, which cuts right through the forest. Laughing off the warnings as old superstitions, the four packed their gear, determined to debunk the myths and get some epic footage for their vlog. As they drove up the winding roads into the misty hills, the atmosphere started to change. The vibrant green of the tea plantations gave way to a dense, dark forest that seemed to swallow the sunlight. An unsettling quiet fell over them. The usual chirping of birds was gone, replaced by a strange, heavy silence. They found a small clearing just off Death Road to set up camp. As they pitched their tents, an unnatural cold began to seep into the air, even though it was a mild evening. Vikram, the group's skeptic, joked about it. "See, the ghost stories are already getting to us. It's just the altitude," but even he couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. The trees around them looked like skeletal fingers reaching for the sky, and shadows danced in their peripheral vision. As night fell, they lit a bonfire. The crackling flames cast long, distorted shadows that played tricks on their eyes. To lighten the mood, Rohan pulled out a guitar and started strumming a tune, but the sound felt wrong, muffled, as if the forest was absorbing it. It was then that they heard the first sound, a soft rhythmic tapping, tap, tap, tap. It seemed to come from all around them, yet nowhere at all. "What was that?" Samir whispered, his eyes wide. "Probably just a woodpecker," Arjun said, trying to sound confident, but his hand trembled as he gripped his flashlight. The tapping stopped, and for a moment, there was only the sound of their own breathing. Then, a new sound began. The faint, unmistakable sound of children's laughter, echoing from deep within the woods. It was a joyful sound, yet it was the most terrifying thing they had ever heard. It was playful but carried a bone-chilling echo of sorrow. Panic started to set in. This wasn't a prank, this wasn't the wind. Vikram, now pale, grabbed his camera. "We need to get this on film," he stammered, but his hands were shaking so badly he could barely hold it steady. He aimed the lens into the darkness, towards the sound of the laughter. Suddenly, a twig snapped close by. They all spun around, flashlights cutting through the blackness. And that's when they saw it. At the edge of the clearing, just beyond the reach of the firelight, stood a small figure. It was just a silhouette, the size of a young child. It stood perfectly still, watching them. As they stared, frozen in terror, the figure slowly began to walk along the tree line, its movements unnaturally smooth. And then the most horrific detail became clear. Where its head should have been, there was nothing. Just the dark outline of its shoulders against the even darker night. It was the Headless Boy. No one screamed. They couldn't. The fear was a physical thing. A hand clamped over their mouths, a crushing weight on their chests. The figure stopped and turned towards them. An overwhelming sense of dread and despair washed over the group, a feeling so intense it brought tears to their eyes. It felt like the forest itself was weeping. They heard a faint whisper on the wind, a single word that sounded like leave. That's all it took. They abandoned everything tense, gear, food, and sprinted back towards their car, not daring to look back. They could hear footsteps chasing them, not just one set, but many, like the pitter-patter of countless small feet running through the dead leaves behind them. The sound of laughter had turned into cries, surrounding them as they fumbled for the car keys. They threw themselves into the car and peeled out, tires screeching on the narrow road. They didn't stop driving until the sun came up and the haunted hills of Kersong were far behind them. They never got their epic footage. Vikram checked his camera later, but the only thing it had recorded was static. The Fearless Four never went ghost hunting again. They learned that some places are left alone for a reason, and some legends are not just stories. Tow Hill holds its secrets, and it doesn't like visitors. Thanks for listening to this chilling tale. If you enjoyed this, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more stories from the dark. Stay safe out there.